Alrighty, good morning. Today is January 3rd, 2022, and once again I'm very excited for today's video because I've been proven correct by an angry feminist. In her anger, she has spoken words that I have accurately predicted with previous videos, and I will now describe this behavior and how it fits exactly in with everything I've been saying. So PM Berkeley is this person I've been arguing with, and she made a social constructionist argument. So what have I been complaining about this whole time? This whole time, for months now, while I've been making these videos, I've had one enemy this whole time. One group of people that I've called the evil. Only one. That which cancels. That's been my problem this whole time. That which cancels. The people who are attempting to take away speech. Those are my enemies. Always. So I've been talking to the TERFs, because the TERFs are arguing with the people that do the canceling, right? If you're a TERF and you argue with a TRA, they cancel you and they call you transphobic. The TRAs make social constructionist arguments. If you contradict their social constructionist arguments, they label you with one of the big four, which is transphobic, right? And then they cancel you. Then they take away your power to speak. This is what they've done to Vanessa Vokey and many TERFs. So, I was talking to the TERFs. I was trying to tell them that the ideology that they were doing battle with is a social constructionist ideology. I made the claim that it's postmodern neo-Marxism. I'm not sure that's exactly accurate, but what we can agree on is that it's definitely a social constructionist viewpoint that the TERFs are arguing with. Because every time you get in an argument with the TRA, they bring up social constructs as their main stance, right? The TERFs are taking a biological stance. The TRAs are taking a social constructionist stance. So, I made some videos about feminism and how some of the feminist ideas are also, they come from the same place that the TRA ideas come from. They're socially constructionist. They're social constructionist arguments. I made the claim that the distribution in chess that we see where it's top 10 are all men, all I did was claim that that is not because of pure social constructionism. I claimed that there's an evolutionary psychological explanation for it. PM Berkeley, this wonderful idiot on the internet, made the claim that the top 10 in chess was purely a social construct, right? This is a TERF, a self-described TERF, who has argued with TRAs before, I assume, and knows that there is a biological reality there, and knows that the social constructionist argument is wrong. But then she goes on to make a social constructionist argument to me about the top 10 distribution in chess. And then what happens? She called me a male supremacist. She left a comment. She said she's going to follow me around to every single place where I ever go in all of these feminist groups, and she's going to make sure everybody knows that I'm a male supremacist. What she has done, like the TRAs do to the TERFs, she's tagged me with one of the big fours, sexist, right? There's sexist, racist, homophobic, and transphobic. Those are the big four categories. The TRAs tag the TERFs with transphobic. Feminists, who are also taking social constructionist stances, will tag people with male supremacist or sexist or misogynistic, right? So she's proven my point perfectly. She is that which cancels. This is what I've been talking about the whole time. She's attempting to cancel me. I mean, I know she's just one person, but imagine if there was 100 of her, all on Twitter, and they're all calling me a male supremacist, right? That does major damage to me, major damage to my career. If I was in any position, any notable position, and I had 100 people on Twitter all calling me a male supremacist, that would actually be a major problem. That's actually a real problem. That's actually a way to end somebody's career. This is that which cancels. That's what I'm fucking talking about. PM Berkeley proved my point exactly. Exactly. I think I'm going to title this video, PM Berkeley proves my point, just to piss her off. Even though she said she hasn't watched 106 or 107, even though I made them just for her. You know, I mean, I'm kind of an idiot for getting stuck in an argument with a stranger on the internet here, but what I've been talking about for months, is that which cancels. I've had a consistent idea this whole time. I've been talking about. Within the last week, I have revealed my hand and said, really, that which cancels is some sort of form of Marxism, right? And now I reveal my hand and I start talking about feminism and I start talking about evolutionary psychology and the relationship between men and women, and I use a non-social constructionist argument, right? A social constructionist gets mad at me, labels me with one of the big four. Here we are. Here we are. They have proven that that which cancels is real. That's what she has done. I believe that which cancels is fueled by something that looks a lot like Marxism. I don't know how else to say it. I really don't. It is very cold out right now. My hands are getting cold. I didn't bring gloves. Should have brought gloves. Switching hands. It's snowing, in case you didn't see that. In case you're not looking at the screen. Some people do audio only, I know. We had a crazy snowstorm last night. Crazy windstorm. I think from those tornadoes that are somewhere in this country. Yeah, I've never seen snow here before, actually. Today's the first day I've ever seen snow in where I live. You can see all the pathways that I've been walking on. Somehow, there's no snow on the pathways, which is actually kind of weird. Maybe because there's just dirt there? I don't know. The snow melts when it hits this spot. Anyway, I know that I've sounded like a crazy person in the past week. I had a very long conversation with my brother last night just about this, right? I've been claiming that cultural Marxism is real. I'm claiming that these postmodern neo-Marxists are real. And some people on the internet, some of you guys are agreeing with me. One guy left a comment that just said, "I agree with you, Matt," which was one of the best things to read, by the way. I really appreciate that type of thing because I start talking about this stuff and I know that most people either don't see it. Some people think I'm crazy. Some people just think like, all right, you're slightly off. It's hard for me to tell who agrees with me and who doesn't. And it just feels like most people disagree because the ones who disagree, you know, they will tell me that and they'll call me an idiot. Like this PM Berkeley person just constantly attacking my intelligence, constantly. And now calling me a male supremacist. It's not backed up by anything. If you watch my videos, I don't know how you can make the argument that I'm a male supremacist. Like, I don't know where... But this is what they do. This is what they do. They don't address your points. They just tag you with a pejorative that comes from one of these four categories. They use this to destroy your reputation however they can. Like, I have no doubt that she's telling me the truth. If I show up in one of these feminist chat rooms again, because she's already done this in the past, but now if I show up in one of these chat rooms, all she's going to do is every time I talk, just talk right after me and be like, he's a male supremacist, ignore him, he's a male supremacist. Which, you know, I know that she has a reputation for being kind of a moron, but, and it's just one of her right now, but it's still that exact behavior, right? Imagine if there was 10 of her, or 100, or 1,000, because sometimes there are 10,000 of her, right? What power do I have against 10,000 people that are calling me a male supremacist without any backing, right? Watch all my videos, find the spot where I've said anything that makes me sound like a male supremacist, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, they just tag you with it. This is what they do to everybody. This is what they did to Vanessa Vokey. It's what they do to Jordan Peterson. It's what they do to Joe Rogan. You know, anybody that needs to be canceled, they just hit him with one of the big four. There's a couple other ones. You can call them a climate change denier or anti-vax, a vaccine skeptic. Like, there's words that these people use to discredit you that are not really based on reality at all. And the words work because everybody is afraid of being tagged with those words and afraid of being associated with those words, right? If I were to become known as a male supremacist YouTuber, like by any amount of people, it would suddenly become, my name would be tainted. It would be bad for me to go onto somebody's channel. It'd be bad for other people to talk about me. Like, this is what they do. They taint your name, and then they make people not like you automatically. That's what happened to Jordan Peterson. That's why Yubu doesn't like Jordan Peterson. It's why a lot of people don't like Jordan Peterson. It's because they say things that contradict the social constructionist viewpoint. They say things that contradict this strange kind of new form of Marxism. If you contradict the ideology, you just get labeled, you get tainted, and then suddenly all people in quote-unquote polite society won't talk to you anymore. They won't talk about you, they won't talk to you, they won't invite you on their show. You know, and then this is how it works, and then everybody else has to keep their head down. They all know. Like, when I see Vanessa Vokey's channel get banned, I just know that means my channel could get banned, right? Did she commit evil? Where was the evil in her channel? Why did she get taken down? There was no evil. She just contradicted a social constructionist viewpoint. She contradicted a neo-Marxist viewpoint. That's really what it is. It's really what it is. These people have outsized power. I think they're a very small portion of the population wielding an outsized amount of power because most people don't see what they're doing. Most people just go along with what they're doing. It's very painful to contradict them. It's very painful. There's a huge social consequence, right? I mean, I don't really care that there's this one person calling me a male supremacist, but it's still a form of reputation destruction. It's still annoying. She's still going to be out there every chance she can get telling people that I'm a male supremacist. And again, it's just her, but if I was a bigger YouTuber, there'd be 10 of her, or 100, or 1,000, right? And if you think about it, social reputation destruction is a powerful tool. This is what they've done over and over again. They've proven how powerful it is, especially with the internet. They use reputation destruction as a way to maintain power, and they take out bigger and bigger targets constantly. You have to be an actual billionaire like J.K. Rowling to not get canceled by these people. You have to be like an actual billionaire to stand up to them. Really. And they made her life difficult. I mean, J.K. Rowling can't be happy with thousands of internet nerds calling her all sorts of horrible names, right? Her reputation, this is what they do. That which cancels destroys your reputation. And PM Berkeley proved me completely right. Like, I didn't even have a plan. It's not like I laid out a trap and yet fell right into the trap that I didn't even know was there, you know? Leaves a comment saying, I'm ignoring everything you're saying and calling you a male supremacist. I'm going to every chat room. I'm going to make sure every gender critical YouTuber knows you're a male supremacist. What the fuck? All it is because I just said that maybe the top 10 in chess looks the way it does because men want to fuck. I just made an evolutionary psychological argument. That's it. I just think that in one-on-one board games, men are more likely to want to be the number one in that because men want to fuck. Men got dicks. Men are trying to impress women. That's really what it is. But she's the social constructionist. She believes it should be a 50-50 split at the top 10 of chess. Anything else means that something wrong is happening. And I'm saying that's not true, so I'm a male supremacist, obviously. That's what happens here. It's really a beautiful day today. It's very cold, but it's beautiful. Freshly fallen snow, look at it. Look at this creek. I'm a lucky guy to be able to do what I do right now, you know? I'm lucky that I can have this YouTube channel, I really am. I'm lucky that I live in a country where my right to speak is actually protected. What's not good is that there's people attempting to take away the right to speak. There's people who really, they don't hold any of the same values that the Constitution was built on. And I know, this is what they do. They tell me that the Constitution was written by white men and that it's not founded on liberal values. It's founded on some sort of white supremacist, male supremacist, patriarchal thing. That is a fucking neo-Marxist view of history. The Constitution, yes, was written by white guys, Europeans specifically, but it was founded on liberalism, liberal values. There's a reason why feminism and anti-racism, and there's a reason why these ideologies get to even form, right? People get to speak their minds. How did women get the right to vote without having a liberal document that had them backed up, right? Like, feminism can't exist without liberalism. It cannot. It cannot. So, and the Constitution is fundamentally liberal. People seem to miss that. And the number one rule, the number one thing of liberalism is freedom to speak. It's like the American dream, practically, is just the ability to speak your mind. That's what I think. I think the ability to speak your mind is just the number one most important thing that we all have. No gay person, no woman, no black person ever could have gotten anything in this life without being able to talk, right? They have to be able to talk. So, any single person, any group of people out there who are attempting to shut other people up are the bad guys, It doesn't matter who they are, they're the bad guys. It doesn't matter what they say they're doing, they're the bad guys. It doesn't matter. They disguise it as compassion, they disguise it as justice. They say, we're fighting white supremacists, we're fighting male supremacists, we're fighting the transphobes and the homophobes. That's what they say. And they convince people that they're telling the truth. They disguise it as a battle for justice, but really what they're doing is just using groups of people to acquire power, using a political ideology that has overthrown dozens of nations in the past, using the same exact ideology, but they've twisted it into something new. Rather than a direct anti-capitalist stance, they're taking like this anti-white anti-male stance. And, you know, I know that I'm a white guy complaining about this. It's not lost on me that I have... But you have to understand that if you're looking at me and you think, oh, he's just a white guy, that's why he's complaining about this. If that's your stance, you're taking the same stance, right? That's the view. That's the thing that I'm battling against. If you look at me and think white guy, you are that which cancels. That's the ideology right there. When you look at me, you should just think American. You should just think, I don't know what you should think. It doesn't really matter what you think about my identity, but the fact that my identity to you means white man is this thing. That's how deep this goes. The fact that people look at me and think white guy is because this has been taught for decades. This has been the focus for decades. This is what they've been building up to for so long. They want you to see me through the lens of identity politics. That's what they want. They want that. What we need to do is be like, we're Americans. Fuck it. We're Americans. It doesn't matter what gender, race, whatever you are. It doesn't matter. That's why I support universal basic income. That's why I want Yang in office. It's because just treat everybody as if they're equal. Fuck the identity politics. Fuck it. You know? Of course there's issues specific to women. Of course there's issues specific to black people. These should not be wielded as political tools the way they are. They're too powerful. Everybody should be able to see that by now. These ideologies are too powerful. They really are. Look at Black Lives Matter. Look at that. That thing was extremely powerful. BLM caused, I don't know how much money and damages, and then they say, oh, well, property isn't life, and like they use all these arguments to back up what they're doing, and then you have the whole left-wing media base kind of defending what they're doing by saying, oh, this is just people without a voice expressing themselves, as they're running around burning down Targets and smashing shoe stores and things, beating the fuck out of journalists. They beat the fuck out of journalists. American journalists inside of the borders of America were beaten by a political group. American journalists were beaten. Journalists, beaten up by a political group in this country. What is there that could possibly be a good guy that beats up a journalist within the borders of America? What is there that can possibly be a good guy that did that? There's no such thing as a good guy that beats up a journalist. That's just not ever happened. It's never happened. The journalist they beat up was a gay guy too, which is the most interesting thing. Look up Andy No. Look it up. Look up what happened to him in relationship to BLM. This is not identity politics. This is not social justice. It's not progressivism. It's a fucking dangerous ideology is what it is. It's a dangerous ideology that is just becoming more powerful. Do I think it's going to take over the country? I doubt it. I doubt it will ever take over the country. I doubt they will ever reach the goal of overthrowing the system. But it's what they're trying to do. Unironically, they're trying to overthrow the system. They do this by tagging people with pejoratives, such as male supremacist. They don't even realize they're doing it. I'm sure PM Berkeley doesn't identify as a Marxist, but she's wielding a Marxist ideology and she's behaving like a Marxist. So, and again, I know I keep using this word Marxist. I know I keep referring to this Wikipedia page, cultural Marxism. I don't know if that's precisely right. I think that it's a more broad social pathology. I think that there's a pattern of human behavior when it comes to a civilization, right? We're just monkeys. We come from monkeys. We're not really designed to be in a civilization of like millions of people like this. I think that there are certain social pathologies that just take over when you have a system that's not working properly. We clearly have a system that's not doing exactly what it should be doing. The US government, I think if you were to take the founders of the country and bring them to today, they would not recognize the system that we're in. I don't know if we really live under the Constitution directly anymore, right? We only seem to what's the relationship between the Constitution and the actual social structures that exist today? That's a really weird question to ask. But it seems to me that the system's not working properly, and now we just have we're suffering from senescence, right? We have this old body. The US is 250 years old, and it's just, there's cancers forming inside of it, and just different problems are forming inside of it, and one of these problems is this Marxist ideology just growing more and more. And they're taking away people's power to speak. That's really my main problem. Anytime anybody loses their power to speak, that's a problem. This whole deplatforming thing, what is deplatforming? They always disguise it as, oh, we're stopping those white supremacists, we're stopping those racists, those Nazis, those sexists, right? That's what they always say. Gotta stop those guys. But it's just a tool to stop. It's the tool to shut people up. That's what it is. Drives me crazy. It drives me insane. I'm not a male supremacist. I don't think anybody could claim that, especially, and part of the reason I put up so much content is to prove to people, hopefully, is to put up some sort of armor against this kind of accusation. You can go back and look at hours and hours of me talking authentically as I can. I'm telling the truth. I'm speaking my mind as authentically as I can. If you think I'm a male supremacist from all the content that I've put up, well then, I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly think that. I don't even know what it means to be a male supremacist. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's just a lie. It's a lie. It's a pejorative term used to discredit me. That's what it is. It's a form of that which cancels. That's what it is. PM Berkeley just proved me right. I love it. I love it. Kind of love it. I kind of love it. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. It takes a social constructionist stance, purely social constructionist stance. I take the opposite of the social constructionist stance. I even admitted that it's a combination of evolutionary psychology, biology, and social constructionism. I said it's a combination of all of it. She said, no, it's purely social constructionist. I disagreed, so I'm a male supremacist, right? And she's going to go around and tell everybody that, because she's part of that which cancels. There's only one accusation she made that's accurate. She called me arrogant and self-important. I don't know if I'm arrogant and self-important. I can't deny these things, because I might be arrogant and self-important, because who else would put up a channel of 40 hours of just their own face talking, right? I must have some sort of opinion of myself. But truly, my main motivation was to speak my mind and put up all of these hours of talking just as armor. I tried to talk about every subject just to have armor against these types of accusations. If you think I'm homophobic, if you think I'm racist, please just go watch me talk about those subjects. I told you the truth about what I believe about all those subjects. I tried my best. And I don't use politically correct language. I don't use their language. I use my language. And all of the beliefs I have really center around liberalism and evolutionary psychology and biology, really. I think that we're monkeys on a planet, we're monkeys on a rock, we descended from monkeys, we somehow learned how to talk, we somehow became conscious, and ever since then we've been forming societies that are like really complex. And one of the best ways to form a society is under liberal values. That's what I think. I think the best societies are the ones that treat all the people as if they're equal. And I think that that basically comes from believing in a divine spark. I think whether or not you do believe in God, you should act as if everybody has this divine spark, and that's the best way to set up a society. Clearly, because we set up a society, the American society, right? America, the country, the United States, was one of the first countries ever set up with liberal values, truly. And it became the most powerful country in the world. So it did something right, right? I don't think capitalism can exist without liberalism. That's what I think. You can't have a true capitalist society unless all of the people have equal, something equal, right? And I know it comes down to opportunity. I know not everybody has opportunities. We get into these problems. And yeah, it's, you know, I'm not saying nothing can change about this country, but I'm saying we did a lot right. And these people want to change that. They want to overthrow that. They look at the country, they see a white supremacist country, right? These people who say that America is fundamentally racist, those are the Marxists. Those are Marxists. If somebody looks at the United States and they say it's a fundamentally racist country, they're Marxist. There's no way that's true. The Constitution was written by white guys. I know that slavery existed. I know women didn't have the right to vote. I know all those arguments. But you have to understand history a little bit. First of all, they wanted to ban racism on day one of the Constitution. They wanted to put a rule in there that was going to make slavery illegal. And there was just political reasons why they couldn't. They couldn't do that. And then giving women the right to vote came a little bit later, but you know, they set it up so that could happen. I believe that the founding fathers, you know, I'm not sure what they thought about women getting the right to vote. I don't know enough about their thoughts on that particular detail, but I think that it's somewhat revolutionary given all of the societies that have existed previously. This idea that men and women are equal. I mean, politically equal, right? Isn't that a revolutionary concept? I believe it could have only existed in the United States. I mean, in a liberal country, really. So, what I'm trying to say is the United States is not a male supremacist, white supremacist nation. It's really not. the only people that think that that's true are the ones who have been indoctrinated into this ideology that has been seeping into our academic institutions since the 19 whatevers, right? If you look at that Wikipedia page on cultural Marxism, me and my brother spent quite a bit of time yesterday talking about this. If you go through that Wikipedia page, if you skip past the part where it says far-right anti-Semitic, the second half of that sentence is actually quite accurate, in my opinion. It's an attempt to subvert Western culture through academic intellectual institutions, which is exactly what's been happening. If you go to these places where they have these gender studies and critical race theory, these people with like these PhDs and master's degrees in these subjects, they're teaching these things in like the corners of these institutions, like in the depths of some of these institutions. That's where it starts. They've been doing it for decades now. They've been swirling around over there. And I think just slowly teaching people, more and more people, and these people are getting older and they get hired into things and they get more teachers. It's just been growing for a very long time. And we're only now finally seeing it, right? It's existed for a very long time, but now we see it. Now we all see it. We all have to see it now because it's taking away people's power to speak. It's having real effects on our nation now. Real effects. What I'm trying to do right now is just get people who don't see it to see it. That's just all I want to do. Get people who don't see it to see it. I know some of you out there, some of my listeners do see it. Some of you don't. Some of you think I'm crazy. I'm just trying to convince you that I'm not crazy. I'm trying to convince you that people like these PM Berkeley types, they're the crazy ones. They're the ones that have been indoctrinated into this ideology. The only reason that she would call me a male supremacist is if she just doesn't. It's just a behavior of that which cancels. It's really just a behavior of that which cancels. That which cancels is the enemy. That's the bad guy for all of us. For the conservatives, for the liberals, that's the bad guy. The blue and the red team need to team up against that which cancels. That's what I think. Andrew Yang is an enemy of that which cancels. He had John McWhorter on his podcast. John McWhorter wrote a book called Woke Racism. John McWhorter can see it. He can see the Marxist ideology, and he's also fighting against it. He wrote a book against it. You know what they call him? They call him a black white supremacist. He's one of those guys who's black and is also a white supremacist, because that's what happens. That's what this ideology does. It has to tell things like this, right? This is how it works. This is why we have trans nonsense going on that just spits out these insane contradictions. It's what happens. It's an ideology that's really not founded on... I mean, when you get down to the bottom of it, when you have a conversation with one of these people, one of the true believers, it usually comes down to the existence of objective truth whatsoever. Really, it really does. And I've had these conversations before. And a lot of the times it just comes down to, it's just different groups of people deciding what is true and what isn't true. There's no single objective truth. There's just a million kinds of truth. And the one who just decides what is true is just the one who has all the power. So right now, from their view, the white male supremacist, whatever they want to call it, system is what's deciding what's true. So anything that I say that I believe is true is simply because I'm using the language of the system. So, I don't know how to prove this to people without just telling you to go have a conversation with one of the true believers. Is really what you got to do. I think I have lived in places and been in social environments where I'm more likely to run into these people, which is why I think I'm more sensitive to it. I'm also a very disagreeable person naturally. So when these people start talking, I disagree with them and I don't let up. And it gets me in trouble constantly. I've been in so many places where I've been accused of sexism and racism and homophobia and transphobia so many times in my life. Because I get in an argument with one of these people and I don't see what they're saying. I don't see it. I try to get to the bedrock of their argument. I get spun around in circles by crazy argumentative tricks. And in the end, I don't agree with them. And then they call me a thing because I just don't want to agree with them. I say, no, I don't see it. Whatever it is that you're pointing out to me is just something I don't see. And then, boom, I'm racist or I'm supporting a racist system. I'm inherently supporting a racist system or I'm benefiting from a system that I don't want to change. It's a fucking ideology. That's what it is. It's what it is. All right. 29 minutes, that's good enough. I need to stop talking about Marxism. I really do. It drives me insane. It makes me feel like I'm a crazy person. Because I feel like I'm talking to you know, people just say, oh, it's just identity politics. Like, they just play it down, right? Oh, it's just this, it's just that. You're just overreacting because you're a white guy. I don't, I'm not overreacting. This is a really dangerous thing. It's a real thing and it's dangerous. Is it going to take over the United States? Seems quite unlikely. Could it take over the United States? Is there an above zero chance? Yes, absolutely. There's an above zero chance that this thing takes over. And in that case, I'm going to die. So whatever. They're going to kill me because I'm not going to bow down. I will never kneel. They're going to have to shoot me. So I will never, ever kneel to this ideology. That's what I say. Today's January 3rd, 2022. Happy Monday. See you later.